I've known, well, what I should say is this is Bill Donahue. He's old school controlled opposition. He's going to polarize you. He's going to tell you something, and most people aren't going to think about what's said. They're going to repeat it. I've met and known a couple different electricians throughout the years who have repeated this shit without fucking thinking. There. If it will work. Hold on.
I'm not saying that God is electricity, but what I am saying to you is God takes that word L, electricity, because only through the sphere and the ether of this energy called electricity is it possible for the human psyche and that which is the universal psyche to communicate. It's done through electricity. Because the brain does not have electrical energy, you can't communicate with yourselves, with anybody else, and certainly with God. And if it is not coming down, if the light and the energy is not coming down and touching you, there can be no response. So it all happens through electricity. See? The electricity throws through the 7 chakras or the 7 seals. I'm not.
Also appreciate the modern day controlled opposition assets are shopping around that there's more than 7 chakras now. That's something that's actively being corrupted in New Age circles, which is dressed up now as something absolutely fucking retarded. Woo-woo is, and I didn't believe people when they fucking mentioned this. I've said it before, the only woo I knew of was Wu-Tang, but what the fuck do I know? But people are repeating it, and these are the same kids that are waxing poetic about 13 constellations, and they don't understand how shit works, so they repeat that shit too. 13 has to do with the center. It's a bigger thought. And the answers, I've never found them online. What I want you to appreciate in terms of Bill Donahue waxing poetic about everything is just fucking electricity, 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 electricity. When you hear people doing this, it's a binary reality is what I should say. You can't have electricity without magnetism. These two things are intimately connected. I mean, the first thing, anybody who has clicked like on here, the 64 kids in here, let's see how many people are following this account too. Naturally, 89,000 people because they're shopping around controlled opposition bullshit. The yin and the yang. You should probably think of the I Ching and the yin and the yang. And if people did and they applied that as a tool to reality and they thought about how things work, people wouldn't be duped. I mean, right now we are living in a time where there's an entire generation, and it's not limited to just the up-and-coming generation. It's cross-generational. That's a crap way to put it. But other people have bought into, I have no idea what the difference is between a man and a woman. I saw somebody tonight posted something here. It's probably, give me a second. I'll just show you. Make sure I save this so I can come back to that bullshit. Did I put it in here? Let's see if I put it in here. It's right here. Somebody posted this tonight. Reproductive system. On one side you got parts in a woman, and on the other side you got parts in a man. And they took it upon themselves. Keep in mind, the person who posted this is a dude who is wearing women's clothing, pretending to be a woman and asking others to play that mean game of make-believe just for a little bit of background. So they typed out another day of filth and lies. And then they used 2 social engineering stickers, which are emojis, which are in place to do away with abstract thought. They rewire your brain so that you do not think for yourself. And over time, you lose the ability to articulate complicated thoughts and emotions, which means down the line, you become, by definition, simple. It's one of many social engineering tactics alive and well and working against us today. How many people do you know that use emojis? It's not a good sign. But same difference, going back to what I said about, a handful of electricians that I've met. I remember I was working a job and a guy came in and he was telling me all about this Bill Donahue bullshit online, and it cracked me up. And then I found out he's an electrician. Yeah. And I mentioned magnetism and he just glossed right over it. Yeah, man, the electric universe. Da, 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 da. Cracks me up. Here's another thought, just to compare and contrast things, and for all intents and purposes, it is something that we experience. And it does vary to a degree, at least based on your space time location. So I grew up, here, let me get rid of this because I'm tired of looking at it. I was holding it down so it wouldn't move. So I grew up in the Deadly Desert in New Mexico. Now I live in Portland, Oregon. The point to this story is you've probably heard of lightning and thunder. There were wicked lightning and thunderstorms, and there still are, from what I've told back home in New Mexico. And that's because the air is ionized. Again, having to do with electricity, mind you. There's an interplay between the earth and the sky, crudely speaking. It's a shit way to think of the yin and the yang. But here in Portland, the air isn't as ionized. So, numerous seasons here, I've heard lightning, but not seen thunder. Just for what it's worth. The two still work together in tandem. Don't fool yourself. But based on where you're at and the ingredients involved, things will vary. It doesn't mean that one doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that one can stand alone. I'm stressing this because there is an active campaign to muddy the waters, befuddle people, and get them to repeat shit that does not reflect a reality in any form or fucking way. And people like Bill Donahue were paving the way for this. In other words, if Bill Donahue wasn't controlled opposition, one of the things he would have stressed is there are two fucking principles to reality. Two basic ones, at least, if you simplify everything. And you have to think about both of them in order to appreciate how this fucking functions. Without doing so, it's a disservice to you, me, and everybody else under the fucking sun. It's important. It's terribly important. There's so much I want to say too. And this is my crappy, superficial version of things for the internet because I've been reeling things back and not leaving answers online in the event that you are new here and you haven't hung out with me through a cyber format, or you're not just to hear the... Maybe this is your first time you pop in and you cherry pick from me. Because most people... Jesus fucking Christ. What was I thinking earlier tonight? How did I put it? I don't think I remember exactly how I worded it, which is frustrating now that the night's coming to an end and I'm tired. It was something along the lines of I deal in logic and things that reflect reality, unlike the other kids, which is why I can teach you things in many, many ways that the other kids are blissfully unaware of. And most people are going to lie to you about, technically speaking, or mislead you. I'll digress. I'm tired. Like I said, if you hung out, thanks for hanging out. What the fuck do I know?